National Prosecuting Authority, now tasked with effecting the extradition of Atul and Rajesh Gupta after they were arrested in Dubai. The brothers face a litany of charges related to fraud and money laundering. Their arrest comes after 4 months. The Interpol issued a red notice for them. Joining me now is senior political writer at the Mail Guardian Paddy Harper, who talks to us all the way from KZN. And you have penned one too many pieces that have followed the former president, Jacob Zuma, his relationship with the Guptas. Let me kick off the conversation about what you think the reaction would have been from inside Nkandla when the news came that the Guptas were arrested in Dubai.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on the show. I would not expect it was a particularly happy reaction. While the Guptas or the expeditions at this stage focused on just the Newland Investments case for 25 million rand. And obviously, once they are back in the country, it opens up the space for further prosecutions stemming from the commission. So, yeah, the mood cannot be good there.
Yeah. So let's talk, Pedi, about what the Guptas are alleged to have done. We know that there are some matters that are of fact that they did in this country, one of which was a much headline-grabbing scandal back in 2013. This is when they landed their many planes at a national key point, and that was the Waterkloof Air Force Base. But remind us of the other incidents where the Guptas effectively just urinated on the dignity of this country.
Well, perhaps it's best if we start with specifically what they've been extradited for. That was New Lane Investments. That was the precursor to the Estina scandal. This was a 25 million rand feasibility study that was conducted. The money was channeled into their companies, and it ended up with Islandside Investments, which was one of the major investment companies. But, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's far broader than this. I mean, they have a case to answer. Okay, at this stage, this is the only case that's really directly involving them that's before the courts. But you've got the investigations directorates processing all the cases regarding Eskom, regarding Transnet. They have a case to answer regarding Alex Core, the state diamond company, regarding around 2 billion rand in diamonds that were funneled to Caben Woodley's companies and sold without a license. The fourth part of the Zondo Commission report, which was released quite recently, had a lot to say about the Guptas and a fair amount to say about the relationship between the former president and the Guptas. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. In terms of figures, there's Eskom alone, 15 billion rand. Around 49 billion is the figure that we understand that they and their companies kind of siphoned off from the state. So there are many cases to answer, in addition to the one that they're actually being extradited for.
Sure. Pedi, it's a fact that former President Jacob Zuma, quote-unquote, said the Guptas were his friends. It's also a fact that his son conducted business with the Guptas. How worried should Duduzane be?
Again, referencing back to Chapter 4 of the Zondo report, there was a recommendation that there be an investigation into Rajesh Gupta over the capture of National Treasury and the 600 million rand bribe offered to former Deputy Minister Jonas. Duduzane facilitated that meeting, so did Fana Hlongwane, so they were part of that process of, although they've made denials at the commission, but I mean, Zondo found that they were part of that process to actually try and bribe Mr. Jonas and take over the finance ministry, so there would be a case to answer there.
Well, let's talk about the former president, because I used his name at the beginning, stating the facts. One of the conclusions by the Zondo Commission, I think it was towards the penultimate report. There's still one more report that has to be released by that commission for the president to then release it publicly. But what do we know specifically around the allegations that the Guptas effectively influenced who would come in next as a minister and who should be fired for not complying with what they wanted? When we talk about the bureaucrats now, directors general, a person like Themba Masego immediately comes to mind. Pedi?
Hi. Yes. Look, there were very clear findings by Zondo regarding the capture of GCS and the removal of Themba Masego. Likewise, there were clear findings regarding the former president and the Guptas with the removal of, with the appointment of Mosebenzi Zwane as Minister of MEC of Agriculture in the Free State, and also his appointment nationally. What others were there here? Those were two. I mean, obviously the attempt to influence the Jonas appointment. There were also findings regarding the appointment of Brian Molefe at Eskom, that they kind of influenced that process. So, yeah, one anticipates there would be a number of cases to answer around those appointments.
Yeah. As we taper down on this discussion, Pedi, I've just received a statement landing literally a few moments ago, and it's a statement from the Dubai police, and they are confirming the arrest of brothers wanted by South African authorities for criminal and money laundering charges. It's essentially a confirmation of what has essentially been reported about now in the country. How good a moment is this for South Africa's law enforcement authorities? How big a boost in confidence is it?
I think it's a pretty massive boost in confidence. I mean, it's been a process to reach this point. The Guptas themselves had opposed the application just for the Interpol red notice on the basis that it was politically motivated. There was a big fight over that. There's also been the need to actually get a extradition treaty in place with the UAE. So there's been, I mean, it's been a lengthy process that's finally paying off. The case for which they've been brought back, or they're being brought back, is the first real state capture trial related to the Guptas. So, I mean, actually getting them in the dock as suspects would be, or getting certainly a step on that process, on that road. Yeah, that will be a massive boost.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people who kind of were above the law for, what, more than a decade. Yeah, I mean, here they are at last. It's kind of an opportunity to get them in the dock. One would also assume that there would be a boost in terms of the morale of bringing other cases to court. Once they are here in the country, you know, it's then much easier to charge them for other matters, a much cheaper and a swifter process.
All right. Paddy Harper, let's leave it there.